Star Wars 7x7, episode 2869. So I know they say no news is good news, but is it really? Is no news good news, or is it bad news, or is it just no news? And I'm asking because the Disney investor call took place yesterday, and let's talk about what happened in that as pertains Star Wars. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So Disney had their quarterly investor call where they reported their earnings to the Wall Street analysts and whatnot, and I listened to most of it so you don't have to. And particularly, of course, I'm listening for Star Wars related stuff, of which there was a comparative dearth this time around. Sometimes it is the space where they give new little reveals and surprises and whatnot, but not this time. Maybe that has something to do with Star Wars Celebration being just a couple of weeks away. I mean, I think that's fair to say. But even some of the stuff that they did say about Star Wars related stuff, I'm kind of surprised at the lack of stuff that they said. For one thing, as CEO Bob Chapek was recapping the quarter, one of the things that he talked about with their performance from stuff recently included the Book of Boba Fett, and he said that it drew positive reactions from audiences. That's all he said about it. Now, I know that some folks have gone back and forth on whether it was good, was it bad, was it not what we expected, was it not really a Book of Boba Fett, but more like a Mandalorian 2.5. So yeah, just for them to just say it drew positive reactions from audiences, it seems like damning with faint praise in a way, especially when you consider that the finale apparently drew more viewers than the finales for either the season of The Mandalorian. So, I mean, they had other positive things that they could have said about it, and they actually didn't really go there. So I'm a little surprised by that. Then when they moved on to talk about how excited they are about the slate of movies and TV shows that are coming down the pike soon, again, a relative lack of Star Wars. So Obi-Wan Kenobi was the thing that was first mentioned out of the gate, which makes sense because it is the next thing to be released. And Ms. Marvel was the next thing that they mentioned because, of course, that's the next Marvel thing as well. But then they go on to mention Thor, Love and Thunder and Wakanda Forever, and then the new Avatar movie, but they didn't mention Andor. I just mixed up Andor and The Mandalorian. So yeah, I guess I just smashed them together. It's really almost like part of it, basically. But yeah, they didn't mention Andor or The Mandalorian. And even if they had mentioned Andor or The Mandalorian, they wouldn't necessarily have had to give us a premiere date. They could have just said, yeah, we're excited for Andor coming in 2022 and Mandalorian Season 3 coming in 2022. The Andor series has been announced as definitely coming this year, and I'm pretty sure Mandalorian Season 3 has also been said or confirmed for Season 3 coming out in 2022, even if it is just going to premiere at the very end of the year. No mention of Bad Batch, but I mean, it's animation, which tells tremendous, fantastic stories and really shouldn't be given short shrift after movies and live action necessarily. But yeah, it kind of does. That's how these things go. And I personally would have loved a quick name check on the Ahsoka series, since we found out that filming, principal photography started on that just this week. But yeah, that's more of a wish list item, I guess. The other notable news is that they are looking to grow their subscriber base by adding another pricing tier, an ad-supported pricing tier to Disney Plus. They are not announcing what that price is going to be. I don't think they necessarily have a specific date by which they're going to do it, but that is something that's coming up. And I think when I signed up for Disney Plus, like, they had an initial 3-year deal where you could sign up and get buy 2 years and get the third year free, and I had the opportunity to do that and the means to do that at the time, so I did. And I guess, my gosh, 3 years flies, because that is about to end in October, which is crazy. So yeah, now they're going to have this new ad-supported tier for it eventually, and they're looking very closely at their subscriber growth, which it seems like it was slowing down a little bit, but now maybe it's recovering and they're going into something like 58 new markets or whatever. But the thing, I think, for our purposes is that one of the things Bob Chapek said is that they are carefully watching content cost growth, and they've got this whole, picture of how their, content is driving the subscriptions, and the subscriptions drive the profits. And so they are watching very carefully what they're doing with their content costs, which means that when we're talking about budgets for, say, The Mandalorian or the Ahsoka series or Kenobi or anything like that, they are very carefully watching their bottom lines on these things. And so it's not going to be a situation where like, oh yeah, we're going to throw any amount of money at this to get these series made. So we're probably not going to be talking about like the $1 billion prices that Amazon is apparently seeing for their Lord of the Rings TV series that they're doing. It's not going to get crazy like that. And who knows what Jim Cameron's budget is for the Avatar movies, although I bet, like Lucas, there's probably a big chunk of his own money that's going into that as well. But that's really it as far as Star Wars mentions in this whole investor call situation. And again, everything content-wise was limited to 2022. It stopped with the Avatar movie, so the fact that Rogue Squadron wasn't mentioned in this isn't necessarily a big deal, and the most recent release of their movie release calendar, which was in April, still has it as a December 2023 release. So again, we're due for some Rogue Squadron news. Like, we are overdue for it. Now, I know I had been saying like I hoped that we would get it in the Friday slot on Star Wars Celebration, but now I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, they don't usually make big announcements on the closing ceremony at Star Wars Celebration. The biggest announcement I think they've ever made is to say that tickets for the next celebration were going on sale and where it would be held and when it would be held and that sort of thing. But now I'm holding out hope for a final surprise during the closing ceremony to say, hey, Rogue Squadron is about to go into production and here's the cast, and do something fun like that. So that's what I've got my hopes pinned on myself. And if you think you have an idea about when Rogue Squadron news might come out, or you have hopes for it, let me know what those are. Chime in either at YouTube for this episode, or if you're catching the audio version of the podcast, then at home base of the show at sw7x7.com, or hit me up on SW7x7 podcast on Twitter, or SW7x7 on TikTok as well. And that right there is going to do it for today's episode of the show. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, by their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.